it led to a reaction from the people who cover North Dakota State, and they're starting to get a little angry.
Really?
I can tell, and maybe that's the wrong word. Like they're owed anything, but they're like 100% of what they're doing is Trey Lance's perspective. They are Trey Lance fans. They thought this guy was going to be the third pick in the draft, and he was going to be the future of the 49ers, sink or swim. And now it feels like he's sinking, and no one knows why because he hasn't even played football yet. And so I think you can get that, right? Like someone from North Dakota State would feel like, wait a minute. So are you all just moving on and he's just never going to get a chance?
Right.
Is that how this is going to – we're waiting for a Brock Purdy injury now? And obviously this offseason he's got one. But the regular season, if Brock's healthy, is that it? They're just going to stand there and watch football now for a few years?
And then you bring in Sam Darnold.
Right.
And we'll play the comments, but John Lynch, kind of hints that don't put Sam in as the 3 just yet. We don't know who's who in terms of this, but as a North Dakota State fan, I'm sure you're feeling it a little bit personally. Like, yes, Easton Stick, your former player, he's in the league and you're proud of him, but Trey Lance was going to be the time for you to say, see, we mean something up here in Dakota.
Well, Carson Wentz was about to be the MVP, and then he's kind of become Carson Wentz.
Right.
And so, yeah, this was the next big hope for, like, one of these guys to actually kind of become a star.
I broke my back.
Yeah, and not happening yet. So, owners' meetings, John Lynch, quarterback room for the 49ers. Check it out.
I think Brock has earned the right with the way he played that he's probably the leader in the clubhouse at that. I'll let Kyle make those kind of decisions, but I know when we talk, I think Brock's probably earned that right to be the guy. If we were to line up, he'd probably take that first snap. And we're really excited about where Trey is at with his progress from his injury. He's been working really hard and, love the opportunity to be able to bring in Sam Darnold and his skill set. We think it's a really good fit. So we like that room a lot.
Okay, so there's not a whole lot there for some of you, and that's from NBC Sports, and so you're going to hear that and go, well, what's the big deal? Well, John Lynch went so far as to basically say, look, Brock Purdy's your leader in the clubhouse, but we like all 3 of them, and all 3 of them are going to have the opportunity to go compete for this gig. Now, I'll ask you first, is there something there or not?
Yes, there's something there.
Okay, what?
The something there is that when Brock Purdy is able, when he's healthy enough, he's probably going to get that first snap. But he may not get that first series. He might just get that first snap. What I heard John Lynch say is that Brock Purdy gets the first crack at being the starter, but it's no slam dunk that he is going to be the starter for all 17. And then he gets to Trey Lance, and, well, we like Trey Lance. We do. But then he moves on to Sam Darnold.
Like him too.
He loves Sam Darnold, and I actually heard the entirety of the press briefing, and he goes on to rave about Sam Darnold and how, they've always liked Sam Darnold. They've had an eye on Sam Darnold ever since he was drafted, and they really are impressed by what he did this year when Carolina had the regime change. And so what I heard him say is basically it's all but an open competition this year.
Well, I think that John Lynch is saying exactly what he has to say. There's no choice in the matter here. I mean, I guess my response to anyone who's like, wait a minute, gosh, he thinks all 3 of them are going to play, and wait a minute, he says Brock Purdy gets the first snap. I'll challenge you. Go ahead. Say it a different way. So in other words, if you're going into this next season with the assumption that we all have, which is that Brock Purdy's your starting quarterback. Trey Lance he's got the offseason, and you hope that he makes strides, but he's going to start as the backup, and Sam Darnold's your QB3. If that's our assumption, then say it a different way. If John Lynch is asked, what's the pecking order in your QB room? How are you going to say it?
Well, you're going to say, Brock Purdy's the starter. When he came on last year, he won every game. Mm-hmm. Brock Purdy is our starter. And Trey Lance he's our number 2. And, if it wasn't for some bad luck last year, he probably would have been QB1 all year, and we feel really good about him in that spot. And, Sam Darnold is QB3, but darn it, he is a great insurance policy. And heck, as we've seen here in San Francisco, we tend to get quarterbacks hurt. I'm not blaming Kyle only, some members of the media have done that.
Beautiful soundbite. However, here's what I would say. Oh, you can't say that. Oh, my God.
I just did.
You can't say that if you're John Lynch. You can't say that.
Why not?
Because you just called Trey Lance a backup, and it's the lead story on every single sports page the very next day.
But what is Trey Lance?
We don't know.
Well, he's the backup.
No, we're going to see what they all play themselves into. I mean, gosh, we've got an injured. Like, what if Brock Purdy's not ready? And then you just called Trey Lance, who, by the way, less than 2 years ago, you drafted to be your entire future, your entire franchise, and now you're calling him a backup after 4 starts, and only 2 of them you meant to give him? I mean, you can't say that to this kid yet. And I guarantee you can't say what you said to Sam, because that's not what they said to Sam when they signed Sam. You called him an insurance policy. There's no way Sam's coming here to be called an insurance policy.
Well, he didn't come here thinking that he was the starter.
No, but
and he didn't come here thinking he was the backup.
But you've coached youth. You've coached youth leagues. All right. Did you ever coach baseball?
Yeah, I've coached baseball,
right,
not successfully.
All right. So the kid who can't even throw the ball to the plate comes up to you and goes, I want to pitch. What do you say to him?
What level are we coaching here? Because if it's majors.
No, 9, 10 years old.
Oh.
Can't even get the ball to home plate. Right as kids start doing kid pitch. Like, literally does not have the arm strength to get the ball to home plate.
Yeah.
Coach, I want to pitch. What do you say to him?
I say you may want to find a different team on which to play, little Timmy, because I want winners.
You're a tough coach.
Mark, no. You know what I'd say to him? I would say, we're going to, I said, right now, you're probably not among our top pitchers, but we're going to work really hard to help you. We're going to give you a shot
to compete, to get there.
Yeah.
You have to kick the can down the road.
And
you
then
can't look at the
call
kid.
his parents and I say, you know what?
I want winners.
Is Logan interested at all in, I don't know, underwater basket weaving?
Why'd you have to say Logan like it's the Giants opening day starter and you're kicking him in the face or something like that?
Friend of the program.
Logan Webb.
No, Logan is always a good, little Timmy is a little outdated.
No, but
Logan or Mason.
Like you literally, the first 2 words out of your mouth were right now. And
Jude.
That's what thank you. You gotta dip the toe in the water very lightly. You have to dangle the carrot. You can't.
You're saying Trey Lance is a 9-year-old?
I mean,
Trey, we're gonna give you every chance to start.
Listen to the quote. It's what he said. They may know in the back of their mind, no way in hell we're starting Trey Lance.
Right.
I don't know. But every time someone says to me, hey, you drafted this guy 3rd overall. Don't you have to see what he's got? I go, okay, do you want to volunteer to be the one to go tell Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey, we're going with the QB that we don't think is best because we drafted him high, and, we want to see what he's got. Boy, that's a hell of a speech. Debo and Trent would love to hip-hop out onto the field for that. All right, guys. Let's go out there and see what our teammates have.
Totally.
You can't do it. So when you're in a public space on a microphone, John Lynch can only say so much. And yes, you have got to kick the can down the road. And if you want to say we're treating them like 10-year-olds, go right ahead. But you got to tell all 3 of them, you got to leave the door open for them being the dude. You got to do it.
Shout out Silk Sonic.
You got to do it.
Yeah, it's Sam Darnold knows full well that he needs something to happen to one of the other 2, if not both of them, to get a shot. And his deal is built so where he knows that he only gets his money if he gets a certain number of snaps. Most of his contract
money.
Yes, but a lot of his deal is based on incentives.
Here's what Sam's thinking, in my opinion. I think Sam is thinking and has been told this. First of all, yes, Brock Purdy is ahead of you on the depth chart. However, Brock Purdy is also, did you see the picture of the elbow sling deal that he's got going on?
He looks like our producer Lucas is with his leg.
It looks like the Terminator.
He's all braced up.
Yeah. So Brock Purdy just had major surgery on his throwing arm.
He's fine.
And the other guy ahead of you on the depth chart is a big old shoulder shrug. Is Trey ahead of you? No.
Trey's had 2 surgeries, too. 2 surgeries.
Also hurt, and I don't know. That's Sam's avenue. Sam's avenue is Brock's not ready and Trey didn't get better. That's Sam's avenue, which is a much more realistic than your QB3 and one hell of an insurance policy. They didn't say that to Sam. They didn't pay guaranteed money for that. They might be embellishing. That's what you do. And Trey Lance is being told the same thing. Man, you are a guy. We believe in you. Brock was amazing, but Brock's hurt right now. You've got every opportunity in front of you to go grab this thing by the horns. And Brock is being told, my man, you keep on your rehab. You showed out last year. You come back here fully healthy, and you are going to have the first snap and be given every opportunity to make this your job. That's what all three of them are being. I heard this, and I'm kind of like, yeah, it's news. It's also what he has to say. It's what he's got to say.
Right. It's news, but what I also heard him say is we're going to build up Trey as much as we can, and there's a chance that we might trade Trey Lance, quite frankly, because, if you've got Sam Darnold, and you do, and Sam Darnold's a legitimate QB2, he might be a QB1. And if you love Brock Purdy as much as they do, and they should, maybe you build up Trey Lance to the point where, all the offseason work, Trey looks great, and, Trey's pressing Brock Purdy for the QB1, and, Brock will be ready. But, man, there's going to be an open battle, and behind the scenes, you're telling Brock, there's no battle, bud. We're trying to trade Trey Lance.
You're our dude. Just get that stupid brace off and get yourself ready.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are facts.
Yeah, you went 8-0. The hell do you think we're crazy?
Right.
Switching quarterbacks, you went 8-0. You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, always live on Twitch, YouTube, and the free Odyssey app. So you said the word trade. Let me tell you what the text message said that came to me from inside the hallways of North Dakota State. So, what's the plan with Trey Lance out there? If Purdy has the job and Darnold was brought in to be the backup with upside, then they've got to trade Trey. Right? I haven't answered him yet. What would you like me to say?
Well, they'll trade Trey if the price is right. What
is the price?
Music, please.
See, I don't know that they will. I don't know that. I hope they don't, by the way. Let me start with that. I really hope they don't. I know that this stinks for Trey, but if Brock gets healthy and plays 17 games this year and Trey doesn't play, that stinks. That stinks. That's right? That's a year lost. But not only because of all the quarterback injuries the 49ers have experienced, we don't really fully know what Brock Purdy's career is going to look like. We don't know what Trey Lance's career is going to look like. So you have to cast as wide of a net as possible, right? And that means keeping them both.
And having quarterbacks on rookie deals is really good for the overall construction of your roster. So I don't want them to trade Trey Lance either. But if you get to a spot where in 12 weeks after the surgery, and Brock's now, 2 weeks post-op, give or take, whatever, he'll be on track to be ready to throw for real in September. He could be ready for week 1. Well, if Trey Lance is a guy who other teams want, you might want to trade him. You're not going to ever get back what you traded to acquire Trey Lance in the first place.
I don't even know. Do you get a first for Trey?
No, I don't think so.
Not even a late one?
No. I think you get a third for Trey Lance.
Do you get Lamar Jackson?
Straight up? Yeah. Is he still out there? And is Aaron Rodgers a Jet yet? Did I miss that?
He's a Jet.
But he hasn't signed yet.
No, we hadn't been traded yet.
Right, exactly. So,
but that's just because there's no deadline yet. Honestly, are the Packers... I love when people try to use leverage they don't have. The Jets have literally already signed Aaron Rodgers receivers out there in New York. They know damn well he's coming. Aaron is not going to retire, but the Packers are also not going to just hold on to him and use him as their quarterback or keep him in the back room with handcuffs on. None of these things are going to happen. The draft is not here yet.
Right.
There is no contractual deadline, no money owed to Aaron. So nobody's in a hurry. Aaron's playing for the Jets next year. All you got to do is go look at the Super Bowl odds.
And who's Lamar playing for?
Now, that's a different question.
Right? Is he playing for Baltimore? Because Baltimore seems to think, hey, Lamar, everything's hunky-dory. We want you back. It'll be great when you come on back and play for us. And it doesn't seem like Lamar Jackson wants to be a Ravens anymore.
He tweeted earlier today that he requested a trade. And he said, by the way, that he did it 3 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
He put a date on it. He's like, I tried that. Was it March 2nd? What's today? March 27th?
Yeah.
He did 25 days ago, and none of us knew. None of us knew. So, I don't know. I'm sure that's got some 49ers fans' antennas up also because of this. Lynch was asked, and this is key for Trey Lance, so how sustainable is Purdy's success?
Just the way he played, the way he processed, the way he led, it was very impressive. Yes, you're right. He's done it part of 1 year, but the way he did it, not just that he did it, the way he did it, I think gave a lot of confidence to everybody in our building. He earned that. It was, there's some things that surprised me. We thought this was a seasoned guy. We knew he was a guy who processed really well. I had no idea he was that good an athlete. I really didn't. His escapability, those things really, I knew he was a good athlete. I knew he had a nice 10 time. But, there's always that projection. Okay, you did this in college. How's it going to translate? It really kind of surprised us how adept he was at being elusive and extending plays, but also playing within the system. So kind of did everything well. And is there room for growth? Absolutely. But he has left us all with a lot of confidence that he's a real guy. I mean, we're excited about that.
Yeah, and that's how his teammates feel too. That's how the teammates feel too, and that's how I would respond. I get it. I'd like to see what Trey Lance can do. I'd like to watch that development. Trey Lance and James Wiseman get comped so many times because of where they were picked and because of how raw they were with their lack of college play, and then because of the frustrating injuries that have happened early in their career that have disallowed development and eyeballs. And one thing I think is there's another comp, and it may lead to the same result that happened with James. It may lead someday, I hope not soon, but it may lead someday to a trade. The unfortunate deal for both Wiseman and Lance is that they got drafted as young players by teams who do not have time.
Yeah.
They
winning windows.
They do not have the time to wait for development. They do not have the playing time to offer when you're not ready.
Well, the Niners had the time, and they gave the time to Trey Lance, and they were willing to suffer through early struggles with Trey Lance because they had all this talent around Trey Lance. And I can look at Trey Lance last year. If he didn't get hurt, how would the year have gone? Would they still have won as many games as they did with Brock Purdy? Would they have gone as far as they did with Brock Purdy? Would they have looked different but still been as successful? I'd like to think that they could. Now, would they have won as much? Yeah. It's impossible to tell, but I do think that they still would have been a playoff team. They still would have been a good team if Trey Lance was able to play all 17 and never got hurt. But because he got hurt, that really prevented him, as you mentioned, from being able to develop the way that he needed to.
Remember, the Warriors were willing to offer Wiseman time also. And then they watched and they went, no. Now you're not allowed to go into the basketball game anymore. Now,
I wonder if the Niner veterans would have done the same thing.
Well, so that's the thing. Without knowing where that was going to go, they were 0-1 and they were leading in the first quarter. That's the sum total of what we know.
Yeah.
So with Jimmy Garoppolo sitting there on the bench, if Trey had lost a couple of more games, I mean, this goes back to what we were discussing before the year. What would have happened? What would have happened? At some point, if they were losing games, they would have made that switch. Now, the injury took that off the table.
Right.
But it is a fascinating parallel universe between those two players. I don't think the 49ers are anywhere near where the Warriors ended up being with James, but it could get there. It could get there.
Right, especially if, you get between now and September, and Brock Purdy slowly is getting better. He's not participating in the off-season workouts, but Trey Lance is, and Sam Darnold is, and then the word comes out that, Darnold is knocking on Trey Lance's door, and there's a real competition for QB2, and then if you get into the preseason, and Brock gets better, and Brock's going to start, and, Brock is healthy enough to go, and then you have questions about QB2, then you might get to a spot where, and like you said before, Mark, the team is not going to tolerate, Trey Lance being QB1 if Trey Lance is not good enough to be QB1. And same thing for Sam Darnold.
I agree.
Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk are not going to sit idly by if Trey Lance is elevated above where he should be based on his draft position.
Well, you're bringing up what is a scenario that could really lead to a debate. Like, let's say you get to August. Brock's not ready yet.
Right.
Okay? Sam, boy, he's had a wonderful offseason. Wonderful offseason. Trey, oof, we don't like the way that looks. He's had a bad camp. All right, and then you get to week 1. Brock's not quite ready yet. Brock needs 2 more weeks. And what do? Are you starting Trey against your better judgment? Are you trading Trey before he puts bad stuff on tape on an actual NFL Sunday? Because you talked about his trade value. Trade value goes down if you go play actual games and play them poorly.
Or if you don't even play him at all.
Right. Well, right. So in early, like there is, I don't want them to trade Trey, and I don't think they will. But there's a scenario where you're like, if we don't like what he's going to put on tape, do it now. Do it now while he is still the great unknown.
Right.
Because, what is he now? Right now, he's still the 3rd overall pick in the draft who's only been able to start 4 games. With, by the way, some mixed good. Like, he's not been terrible.
Right.
He's not been that bad when he went in.
But I think there is a notion out there, if Kyle Shanahan, the QB whisperer, decides that Trey Lance is not good enough to improve in his system under Kyle Shanahan, wouldn't that be a knock without having to put bad film out there?
No doubt. That's why you, like, again, this is something you would do the 2nd week of August. Don't let anybody see him. If that's how you felt about it, I don't think they're going to feel that way.
I don't either,
him.
yeah.
But if they did, I mean, if Sam is just leaps and bounds better than Trey in camp, I mean, then yeah. Get it. You don't want to play him. You know, I mean, then it's going to careen out of control. Let's go to Buzz in Florida on with Willard and Dibbs. Hey, Buzz, what are you doing?
Hey, Mark, what's up, buddy?
What's cooking, man?
How you doing, Dibbs? Hey.
Oh, I'm good.
Hey, listen. Hey, about this quarterback thing, are you guys forgetting one big issue? Man, I'm not trading anybody. In fact, I'm still looking for more quarterbacks. They have too many injuries. I ain't getting rid of any quarterbacks because we couldn't even get through last year with 4. Do not trade anybody.
I tend to agree with you, but I don't. It's
Quick
not.
hook.
The idea is not that they would trade him and not have another quarterback in there. They would probably go sign another body or 2 or 8. I don't know. They'll be ready. They'll be ready with multiple quarterbacks. But again, yeah, I hope the 49ers keep Trey Lance, and I hope he has an awesome offseason of development, and they like where that sits. I also think this, though. The experience last year, we're going to have to get over this. Like, everybody's running around with this PTSD, like we need 28 quarterbacks to start a season.
Minimum.
Right?
Minimum 28.
Because they're all going to die. I mean, it's like, you guys, like there is the possibility of actual quarterbacks playing. You know what I mean? Brock Purdy, he got hurt in the NFC title game. He didn't get hurt before that. He cruising along, played 9 games. You know, there was one injury. There was the issue in Seattle back, I think, in his 3rd or 4th game. But I don't think we can now just move forward with 49er football as if every quarterback gets hurt every 3 games. That's the way we're going to have to coach it.
No, but you do.
It doesn't work that way.
It does when you have a Kyle Shanahan-led offense. And I'll give you quarterbacks starting games in the tenure by year, 3-3-1, 3-2-3. So the only year that they didn't have just one guy start,
I know,
was 2019, and it happened to be Jimmy G, and it happened to be a pretty special year. Other than that, you've needed multiple guys. So I'm with Buzz in Florida. I don't trade him either, Buzz, because you're going to need him. You're going to need that guy.
That was high-quality Buzz right there.
Thank you.
Yeah. I still don't buy it, though, that this is on Kyle. I didn't
say it was on Kyle.
Well, you said if it's a Kyle Shanahan system, then you need all these quarterbacks.
I'm just looking at his tenure.
This was an insinuation sensation.
That's $1, and I'll pay it.
Yeah.
I'll happily pay it.
All right.